Hey there, this is Shelton.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Shelton. Okay.
Hey
How
there.
are you?
I'm good, good. Are you having a good day today?
Yeah, just getting just getting started.
Oh, me too. Where are you at? Where are you at right now?
I'm in New York.
Oh, cool, cool. I'm down here in Jacksonville, Florida, uh,
Oh yeah.
near Ponte Vedra, where you'll be playing at next week, I believe, on the 6th or the 8th. You're in Ponte Vedra and you're in Orlando next week. And
I mean, actually next week, right?
next week, or let's see, hold on. Sorry.
Maybe next week from when you plan the show.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just Sorry, I just wanted to double check
Check. Hold on.
if I.
Uh, I'll get the date right. I thought it was upcoming next week. Hold on.
Well, maybe when you intend to use this, it'll be next week. Because the
Yes.
guy that I just spoke to just now also said that. And then I thought, I'll just let it go. But then I
Oh,
realized maybe everybody thinks I'm going to be there in April. I'm not. Yeah, I'll be there in May.
May. Yes, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right.
That's okay. No,
My
unless I'm missing my own gig, which
no, no. My apologies.
that could have happened.
I got that mixed up. And you're out talking, performing in support of the Careless Love album. I was sent that, and I'm a big fan of yours. I first discovered your music in 1997. There was an album called Dreamland, and I was at the downtown library here in Jacksonville on the second floor in the music section, and I obtained that CD, and then of course I from there I ordered it at the Barnes and Noble, and
Really?
oh yeah, my old friend Alan Justice, who was like my mentor
Okay.
at learning when I was learning to become a journalist back in the '90s. That was your album was the first album I ever played for him that he liked as much as the stuff he was playing for me. Like, and that
Wow.
led to like discussions with people like Billie Holiday and Anita O'Day, Blossom Dearie, Dinah Washington. As sort of the way that's a great thing about music. You get into one person and then you learn about all types of other things. And so I guess my first question is, tell me about your times playing in Florida before, uh, over the years.
I haven't played. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for telling me, first of all,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
that that I was part of that world of just of being able to share something with somebody, because that's what music really is at the end of the day. And I'm always coming back to that one concept, that we are all just part of this thing that is so much greater than ourselves. And for me, I like to call that music. Um, and but as far as Florida is concerned, I've played there very little in my whole life. I have some friends down in Jack's Beach, I think,
Mhm.
and I've used to visit a couple of times over the years.
I recall that you were booked for the jazz festival here in Jacksonville, and I think it got rained out.
Oh, really?
I think you were
Okay.
booked on a Sunday because they had you and Chick Corea. We're going to play that Sunday, and then we just had like a ridiculous rainstorm that came through at like 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and we missed that third day of the jazz festival, which of course that was our last chance to get Chick Corea out here.
Oh,
Uh,
really? You mean it
yeah,
was that recent?
it was probably thinking 2014, 2015, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll go back and double check that. I'll let you know later.
Yeah, they call that a act of God, don't they?
Hmm.
Nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But it is weird though to realize that, like, before recorded music, you wouldn't hear anything until somebody came through your town,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. And your work in many ways is kind of a throwback in a sense to that era. Like, you often hear words like timeless when in reference to your work, like it's stuff that you can place in any time period and people will enjoy it. You know, um, how do you how do you maintain just your sense of self in being who you are in the midst of all this crazy shit that's going on all around the world?
um, well, I do what, it's having something to do, as my old boss used to tell me. He would just say, I just got to give her something to do. I was like, why? I'm fine. No, I just have to give you something to do. Like, he felt bad for me. He just saw the look on my face when the gig was over, the tour was over, and we were in a street band, and we'd get back, and I'll never forget that, because I realized, yeah, I guess you're right, and now I realize that we all need something to do in order to be who we are, in order to feel um, whole, in
Mm-hmm.
order to feel ourselves. We have to have that purpose, whether it's in society or in a smaller group, but we all need that. Um, and yeah, so it's, for me, it's very meager. I like to write some
Mm-hmm.
songs as well as play and sing. And so recently I haven't been able to be we haven't been able to play so much, so I've been writing songs. Yeah.
How many songs do you think you've written? And we I think a recurring theme in a lot of the arts and music and stuff that's been coming out, um, especially bands coming through the areas, the idea of like the consciously doing like new stuff because the pandemic forced us to like not do the stuff we wanted to do. So we're like, well, let's do this stuff. And then it turns out, oh, well, this stuff is pretty cool. I'm going to do some more of that, whatever
Yeah.
that may be. And you mentioned like doing more songwriting, and you've always been a prolific songwriter anyway.
Well, sort of. Yeah. I mean, right now my songwriting pretty much consists of just uh, doing it because it makes me feel like it's something I feel I have to do. But I always have to write a song with this overarching feeling of, I'm not sure anybody else wants to hear this. Needs, wants, whatever they
Mm-hmm.
decide. Um and so I'm just gonna, it's like I'm just trying. That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying, and trying to, you know, to be a good human being. And some of that means means I've been looking back at my life, but some of that means I'm looking forward, and um, I'm really, it's an amazing thing to look at what everybody else has been doing. They've been, um like you said, starting whole new careers, or just,
Mm-hmm.
making these grand gestures in their lives, just saying, okay, that's it. Uh, I hate to say, the term "fuck it," but like, I'm not really sure. It just seems like that's that's the
Yeah,
right. I'm
yeah, yeah.
sure it seems like there's a whole mood of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's beautiful. I mean, I think, I think it's an opportunity that is gonna. I mean, I think it's a time of change that has been positive for in a lot of ways. Unfortunately.
Indeed. How would you describe your music and your style to someone who's never heard it before? Say to the people reading these articles. It's a bit of a cliche question, I guess, but I know how I can describe it. But I'm always curious as to how. You
Well,
know,
I'm sure you would do a better job, because, that's part of the reason I think I work in music, is that words fail me.
yeah. I've never been able to explain your music over these last 25 years, I've never been able to explain it in like a sentence. I'm like, okay, if I had 30 seconds, I could explain it pretty well, I think, but I couldn't explain it in like a 7 second soundbite, you know?
Well, I bet you could. I suppose you could, try to marry a couple of styles together, and then and that would do the job, because it's old, early 20th century swing, um, and popular song combined, influenced by straight up blues. And when I say straight up blues, I mean that's early jazz in a sense. And but married to a sort of I guess it's a little bit of the treatment is a little bit what's that called, impressionistic, so that it's not always, you know, pigeonholed really as a style. In fact, a lot of what
Yeah.
I did was to play with the idea of what we've done is not to create new style, but we've manipulated styles that come together. And I personally always experienced jazz as a kind of a form of cultural melding, um, you know, and musical melding. And I tend to think of that being, one of the great things about jazz as a tradition in America, as much as it is maybe a curse in the end, that it's open to whatever. Any
Mhm.
kind of music can be like, oh yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're hearing Western European harmony and song form, and chordal progressions and stuff. We're hearing, you know obviously we're hearing old blues, early folk influences from Western Africa, but we're also hearing everything in between, the Caribbean, the the Latin sort of northern Central American and stuff, influences. Anyway, I got lost there. Sorry. I think I told you I shouldn't say anything. I should just let you do the talking.
Well, I enjoy the talking. I would say that
Trying to explain jazz, that was a bad idea. Sorry about that.
it it but the fact that it's hard to explain is kind of that's kind of the explanation there, you know? It's like when a politician says no comment, like if they're saying no comment, they're basically saying yeah, but no, we're not going to get, and it's
Yeah.
the business has changed so much over the course of your career. Like, just
Yeah.
how does, because record labels used to be a huge thing, and commercial radio, and like there's a big gatekeeper thing that people had to go through
Yeah.
to get work done, and and you're getting it done back then, and now you're continuing to get it done in this new environment where people are like, like the streaming and like SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and all that. Have these new technologies been beneficial to the kind of work that you and your peers do?
Uh, they they've been. I think it's a pretty straightforward transition for somebody like me, because I already, like you said, I was already out there. Um, and I think that my audience probably hasn't like expanded that much on social because of social media. Although occasionally, you know, I meet these people that are in their 20s and I'm like, wow, like that's amazing. I bet you're a really rare, special 20-year-old, right? And but I seem to have some audience in that age group that obviously never had to play a CD. You know, they were only
Hmm.
dealing with streaming and stuff. But um, so yeah, it's the music business now is such that it is there's not much of it, which means that the ones that do, there's not much in the way of the big companies anymore, which is good, but it means that the ones that are the big companies still out there are pretty tough. And there's a lot of things that happen in that world that is kind of sad, because you see a lot of lives changed, whereas, you know, in terms of all of the people that used to work in those labels are let go all of a sudden, or they're brought in for 1 year and then they leave, which means that the whole machine is more difficult for people to deal with. So it's almost better to not have to deal with the major labels at all when it's like the way that it is now. And I I guess I think it's wonderful that we have all these platforms. I don't know how anybody ever manages to sort through it all. I wish that there were more curators,
Yeah.
people that were literally like were paid by SoundCloud, by Spotify, by you know, but to do a real job of presenting something for the audience, and not just, you know, and not just because there's an algorithm that they program that they wrote. You know, I wish that
That's
there
a
was.
great idea. It'd be cool if, like, maybe if they could maybe have the artists themselves do that. Like, say the individual artist, you're going to like check out their stuff, and then there's a tab where it's stuff that they've curated. Like, it's the artist saying, "Oh, if you like my stuff, here's some stuff that I like." You know,
Yeah, you
it.
know, that's a good idea. They do have that because I was pressed to make a Spotify playlist. But when I did, I found that I was limited to whatever Spotify had. So there was some stuff that I couldn't put on there. And then I also didn't have the time to really do something that I think would cover enough area. So I'm always looking for more. I mean, don't you think that like there maybe used to be before the internet, since you were around, you
Mhm.
told me you were, I can't
Yeah.
tell.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so there used to be like um, less choice, like less content out in the world, but more of a backdrop so that you could, okay, maybe you couldn't find a lot of stuff, but the stuff that you did find, you could
Oh
figure.
yeah. It was yeah, it was a lot of it was informal, like a lot of word of mouth. I remember back in the 90s, for example, your music, for example, the librarian, you know, the librarian in the music section of the library
Now
was
that's a curator for you.
was
That's what a
usually
curator is.
yeah, was usually some guy in a band. You know, you'd see someone who's like you know, or like you'd have a teacher at like UNF or one of the universities who lets you use their ID to like check out CDs from there, and lots of mixtapes. You know, used to,
I used to get mixtapes all the time.
as a
That was how I
teenager.
discovered. Yeah, I mean, even earlier than that too.
Yeah.
That was the way that I discovered a lot of music. Was I had well, early on, my favorite babysitter was the one who she had this big record collection that I didn't know about. Every week she would show up with another
Yeah.
mix. I'm like, where did you get all this stuff?
Hmm.
Where is this stuff? It's
Oh yeah.
out
Yeah, like record
there.
stores and stuff. You know, like they're many of my best friends over the years were people that I met at a record store somewhere, specifically because we were trying to get like the last copy of this Breeders album or the last copy of this, like, you know, Sonic Youth or Black Flag or this or that. And then that comes off into a whole conversation. So the people were the curators themselves. You would like, yeah.
Exactly. But that happens when you have, like you say, a record store where everybody can come together and hang out and like
Mhm.
double check what's going on. Maybe it's just that I'm getting older that I don't
Yeah.
know where the community is, but I hope it's, I hope there's a community
Well,
where you really can like say, oh, because I
sure.
can't go on the internet and read comments and think I can trust one person over another because
Yeah,
I don't
that,
know who these people are.
yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, you see that in politics, you know, like unfortunately the stakes are higher, you know, for life and death with politics, but with say with music, there's a lot of stuff that there are a lot of people that are millionaires that 20 years ago would not have been able to get their stuff out because they may have only had one or two songs written. And they're like, well, we can't, you know, we can't market one or two. We need a full album. We need an EP. Then you have to like wait so much time for the stuff is so trendy now. You know, back in the day, people would put stuff out or record stuff, and by the time the record was actually out, the trend had passed them by. Like someone else had done this new esoteric time signature, and you know, so they weren't, you know, they lost the scoop, as they'd say in journalism.
What
But I mean, you know, like
do you
Matt,
think about it? Do you think that it's good for art or for society that people can become millionaires like that?
I think I think so. I think that most people are good people, and even the even the maniacs are basically good, and people mostly want reasonable stuff. I mean, if I were a million, if I woke up tomorrow and I was a millionaire, it would certainly be crazy. It'd be
Unheard of for a
immediate.
journalist, right?
Like I
No,
would
I'm
immediate.
sorry.
I'd
Not
behave in a
you.
oh oh it yeah. I would behave in a crazy way, but it'd be basically harmless. You know,
Correct.
I wouldn't become a supervillain or something. But that's the problem with money. Every now and then you'll get that one person that just has bad intentions, and then
No, that is true.
you
That
give
is
them the resources, and then they just, you know, they mess up the freedoms for everybody.
yeah.
You know? But you know,
That's
like the Madeleine Peyroux fans all kind of keep touch with each other through the internet. You know, like you go on YouTube and you watch like your stuff on YouTube. There'll be like whole side discussions in the comment threads, and you know, that'll be useful stuff. There used to be a time when if a record got a 5-star review in Rolling Stone, like you had to immediately go to the mall and buy it. Like that weekend. It's
yeah.
like people, the days of like some, you know, the days of like one music journalist just declaring a zeitgeist,
Career.
like
Yeah.
that hasn't happened in a while, you know. I remember
Hmm.
you go in like
That's a
the
good.
back
I
of
think
web.
I agree with you. I mean, I think I really do. I really agree with you. Sorry, you'd go in the back.
You know, like I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan, you know, grew
Yeah.
up on them as a kid. Like it used to be so hard to find Led Zeppelin bootlegs because they suppressed all that stuff. They were like Stalin the way they suppressed it. They used to beat up people that were trying to bootleg their shows. And so
Oh,
you would have to, I'd have to go in the back of some heavy metal magazine. And this is like the 90s and send like a money order for $30 to get like a cassette that was like a second generation dub from somebody's bootleg record that was probably made off of, you know, it was,
that's an insane story that you did that. I
oh,
love
lots of
that.
people, lots, because it's like if that's the only way to get it, I mean, because I'm a jazz, I got that from being a jazz fan. If there be hisses or pops or, you know, there have
Yeah.
been there have been many times I've jumped on a Greyhound from Jacksonville to Orlando just to like go to a particular record store, buy one record, buy a couple of more, or one CD, get a couple more randomly that I saw while walking around there, have lunch, and then immediately jump back on the thing and go back. you
Yeah,
know,
man.
because if that's the only way to
To find
if,
something.
if that's the only way to get the product, then that's what you have to do.
Take a Greyhound. Yeah, we got to write a song about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Um,
it sounds like a day well spent.
yeah, I mean, yeah, hell, I might do that for the show in Orlando because Park Avenue CDs is there, and that's one of my favorite record stores in Florida, down there in Orlando. And
Yeah.
of course, when you're out in Ponte Vedra, that the a lot of those record stores are fairly new. So yeah, it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
really?
Uh, I also wanted to ask for where would you recommend a new fan start when they're going into your catalog of music? You know, like say the folks that come for the Careless for the tour now, and
Huh.
they get the current stuff. Where would you? I always say Dreamland because to me, Dreamland is still like one of my 10 favorite records ever. You know.
Really? Oh,
Oh,
see, that's a
absolutely.
that's a whole weird thing, that record, that some people, because it's so funny, because the producers that I've spoken to when I was trying to make other records would look at that record and go, "Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why people like that." Because for a producer, it's all over the place.
Hmm.
But that's kind of like, somehow we got to, it made sense to me back then.
Yeah, there'd be
But
no Jolie Holland without that album. Probably no Liz Cooper. That's certainly it's a.
really,
It always kind of stood out as like an anomaly. It kind of like I remember my friend Alan, like I was the old guy that I introduced the album to. He said it was like a sampler from a record label, but it's all actually the same person.
that's hilarious. I wonder if I could use that. That is so good.
It's yours. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's isn't that funny? Yeah, it's like trying to do everything. Um, and it was a bit of a mess too, because we had two different sessions for that record. We because the first session we had recorded some of those songs with a different setup, and then I said, okay, no, let's try it a different way,
Mhm.
and that's why we get these different groups. Um, but then to put it out like that, is so weird nowadays. At the time, I thought it made sense. It didn't seem odd to me. But finding the continuity in everything is key, I guess, for me to find meaning and all that stuff. But is there a record that I would recommend? I don't think there is. There's not a lot out there. Uh, to be honest, I don't think you. I think you can show people Dreamland or Careless Love, and then everything since Careless Love. But between Dreamland and Careless Love, I didn't make any records. So, yeah.
You should you should put out more stuff. Like, you know, I'm
Okay.
I'll definitely buy everything. And a lot of other people feel the same way.
Well, I guess, yeah, I guess that's one way to think about it, is just keep putting stuff out. There was a label guy once that was a real label guy, a guy who just loved music and knows he's still around, knows a lot about everything, but he's no longer working in the music business.
Mm.
Um, but he just said, it's a document. It's a document of what you're doing right now. That's all it is. And you have to keep recording,
Mhm.
because it's always going to be something new. And I suppose that's not that radical a thought, but um, it is kind of a weird thing, the idea that you're documenting something that is happening in real time in front of people, resonating in a room, resonating through bodies, resonating through the listening bodies and all the instruments too.
Yeah.
and the fact that we're just getting a peek into it when we're making recordings, because there's something three-dimensional that needs to be, I mean, something that you'll never be able to. I mean, they're trying to make it right with alternative reality stuff, virtual
Mhm.
reality gear and
Yeah.
games and stuff. I think they're trying to do that. They're trying to
Mhm.
do that, get to that place.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's the one thing that I could bring, was this understanding of that visceral experience, and in theater, that you have in theater. Um, you have that same thing in live music. Um, I suppose in dance in a way, although I don't really understand that myself. Terrible. But
I think music has a very special kind of effect, particularly, I mean, through the voice, singing, kind of like theater in a sense. Like that's really making a, like all art makes a connection with the soul, but I think that the voice makes a particular connection with the
mhm,
soul, and the way it ties in with memories and stuff. I
mhm.
mean, people's like doing the work that you do, like it can change people's lives. There are people that haven't even been born yet that are going to like listen to your stuff, and it's going to blow their mind.
That's really crazy that you just
like
brought that up. I
like
mean,
there like we haven't sent people back into space, but it's just the simple algorithm of nature suggests that eventually someone will be in space and they'll hear something that you've recorded, and they'll be looking at like the moon or looking back at Earth, or who knows what. Might be 200, 300 years from now, but I mean,
I wonder if it's going to last that long, but because of all these weird formats that we keep changing, we could just stick to one format.
I
And
think so.
yeah.
I think at some point in this century, someone will figure out a way to really universalize all the other existing
Yeah,
technology.
that's the goal, I think, so that we can,
hmm So we'll
yeah,
see how that goes.
see how that goes. Because then what are we going to end up with? Like everybody's pictures of their food that,
Yeah.
for thousands of years. Like, do we have to keep all this data?
I mean, who knows? I mean, I think all the cat videos are going to stay. I think all the
I'm with you for that. Let's keep the cat videos
mhm,
for sure.
the
Definitely.
yeah, all
Baby
the
laugh.
people, everyone
Baby.
falling down on the skateboards, babies laughing, absolutely. Old people in love, you
Yeah.
know, chubby guys on trampolines, all the
I didn't see those yet.
well,
I didn't watch the. I didn't see the old people in love yet, but that's cool. I think I'm
oh
still on the
yeah.
cats. I've got the cat videos. Yeah. What else have I
Mhm.
got? I've got all those records, man. They got some. There's some great stuff on YouTube that you
Oh
can't
yeah.
get anywhere else.
That's right. That's
So sad.
absolutely. I also recommend, if you look on YouTube, they've got a little monkey that they dress in a little cowboy outfit, and he rides a sheepdog like between innings at baseball games. Like he's a cowboy on the dog. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The, yeah, the dog knows it's all a game, but the monkey is just super serious. Like the monkey is doing work. And
Oh shoot. I'm
uh,
sorry. I feel like
uh,
that might be my
let
next
yeah,
interview.
I'll let you go, but I'll see you at the show, and thank you so much.
It was nice to meet you, Shelton.
Nice to meet you too. I'll send you the articles when they're ready.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, and it's a real pleasure. I hope you
Absolutely.
forgive me. I have to go
Go
take a
for it.
different interview.
I'll see you
Have a
later.
wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.